Welcome to the NCGA Valent Ag Weather Outlook for May 13th, 2017. Well, it was a much quieter week this week compared to last week over many areas. We had that soaking and extreme rainfall over a week ago, but we still don't have much severe weather. The severe weather season's really started out quite active, but that's really been a lot quieter. But because of the major excessive rainfall, we still have rivers running high in many spots, and it'll take some while for these major rivers to drop. And I'm also watching these wet anomalies. So the rain that we had, that really heavy rain, if you're in that area, not everybody, Iowa missed a lot of it, but Missouri and Illinois, parts of Indiana, that's the area that's still quite wet, and we need to keep an eye on that. So over the last week, basically just some light to maybe a moderate rainfall in spots. Yellow is 2 inches or more. Taking a look up to the north and South Dakota, Minnesota, that area and parts of Iowa has missed some of the precipitation over the last month as we started spring. I'll show you some of these here. This is the last 30 days. This is the total rainfall. So if you're looking at southern Illinois, you're looking at 10 inches to 15 inches. But if you're looking at parts of North Dakota, you're only looking at a ½ inch to an inch. So there's really a big difference. Iowa's sort of in the middle. I'd call that more adequate rainfall in the 2 to 5 inch range. So basically some drier precipitation in the upper, or much drier conditions in the upper Midwest, very wet in the central to eastern Corn Belt, and the sort of the sweet spot here, right here in the middle, that's more adequate precipitation. So if you're looking at areas, this is a departure, or this is a percent of normal for the last 30 days. What we're looking at here is the blue is indicating 1.5 to 2 times normal, but the yellow is indicating only half normal or even less. So eastern South Dakota, 25 to 50% of normal. So we have sort of an imbalance here. The eastern Corn Belt, an excess of rainfall, the northwest Corn Belt, a deficit. And you can see that in soil moisture. The anomalies I'm talking about are generally the darker green. So that eastern part of the Corn Belt, parts of Missouri, that's the area that doesn't take a whole lot more and fields are going to get really soggy again. And then we could use more rain over that upper part of the Midwest as indicated in yellow. So soil temperatures have been warming. It's taken a while. We've had this rain. We have not really had excessively warm temperatures, so it's taken a while. But what you can see here is the 60-degree line now has pushed into the middle part of Missouri. Even northern Missouri is beginning to work its way across Illinois and Indiana now. So it is working north, but it's been a little bit slower than expected, a little stubborn with all the rain, clouds, and temperatures a bit below normal. I mentioned rivers still running quite high, especially in the areas in red and purple. Most spots now are receding, except perhaps the lower reaches of the lower Mississippi. Tributaries have crested and are coming down pretty quickly, but the main stem rivers are still quite high, and they are coming down. So let's talk about the forecast this week. Here we go. It's going to be generally a fairly quiet week. We're going to have one frontal passage. If you look at the pushing northward of the jet stream, it's going to result in temperatures near to a bit above normal, especially for the first 5 days of this forecast period. You can see here well above normal temperatures. And then we're going to have two fronts we're going to look at. One's going to come fairly early in the period, and one's going to come towards the end of this week. The first one's going to produce some precipitation over the upper Midwest, and some of these areas could really use it. Now, North and South Dakota, which could use the rain the most right now, is not going to get a whole lot, but at least it'll be some. And then the areas over the eastern Corn Belt that could dry out, still need to dry out, not much at all, rain-free. So pretty good situation for the first 5 days. And I wanted to show you days 6 and 7. I broke that out because sometimes this is not as accurate that far out for amounts of rainfall, but a second system comes in during that time. So we look at how soil moisture will change. Well, this area is going to dry out. We could use some drying out in here. That's going to dry out, and this area is going to get a bit wetter, and we generally can use some wetter soils in this area. So overall, there are going to be some exceptions here, but overall, pretty good over the next 7 days. Now, if we get into the 6 to 10 day period here, you can see we have a system beginning to dig into the middle part of the nation. That's going to have some colder air or cooler air dipping into the middle part of the U.S. And we're going to have this boundary here, and that's what's going to cause that more active weather as we get the warm air in the east, eastern Corn Belt warm, and then gradually cooling off as we get over to the west. Now this is what I'm not going to certainly forecast the amounts of rain we had with that last system, but to some degree, this is that setup we had where we had this contrasting boundaries of warm and cold is when we had a more active rainfall pattern. So keep that in mind. Basically, in the days 6 into maybe the days 8 out from now. And then as we get into the days 11 to 15, looks like it sort of quiets down here. This isn't a real active pattern, and you can see temperatures generally near to above normal. Now, as far as precipitation goes, like I mentioned, nice drying this week, below normal precipitation from Missouri over into Ohio, and then over the upper Midwest where we need some rain above normal, and then that sweet spot pretty much near normal again right through the central area of parts of the Corn Belt. Week 2, I said it could be a bit more active, so we're going to have to watch that, especially from North Texas, Oklahoma, up into Missouri, and that's out there a ways, so that's just something we need to keep in mind. So that's this week's briefing. I hope it helped you in your planning activities, and I will be talking with you again next weekend.